And she never came in clean. She just let her dog out and just do the business.
Yeah, and then her kids were doing it, and yeah.
Wait, whoa, back up. Her kids were coming out and pooping.
No,
outside.
not them. They would let the dog out too. It was like mother like kids, you know? But like if the mom lets the dog out with no leash and lets him poop and picks it up whenever she feels like it, then they feel like they can do that too. It's just crazy.
Hi, and welcome to 5 Random Questions, the show where every question is an adventure. I'm your host, Danny Brown, and each week I'll be asking my guests 5 questions created by a random question generator. The guest has no idea what the questions are, and neither do I, which means this could go either way. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into this week's episode. Today's guest is Reena Friedman Watts. Reena is a TV producer, podcast host, and mompreneur who's worked on reality TV shows such as Jerry Springer Show and Court TV, and with guests such as Howard Schultz, Barbara Corcoran, and Derek Sivers on Cathy Heller's Don't Keep Your Day Job podcast. She's also the host of her own show, Better Call Daddy, which has been around since 2020 and has over 350 episodes, which is putting this new show to shame. And she's interviewed guests like Evan Carmichael, Jerry Springer, Nanny Yvonne, and many, many more. So, Reena, thank you and welcome to the show.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much.
I'm excited to have you. We connected online and we've known each other a little bit now. And you kindly shared some tips of an anniversary episode for one of my other podcasts. So I feel like we kind of know each other, but obviously we've never met yet. Anyway, there's always, the future. So who knows?
Yes, that would be an adventure.
That would be an adventure. And speaking of adventures, did your daughter get to camp okay?
Yes. She's doing a variety of different dances at this dance camp this summer, from hip hop to lira to hanging from the ceiling with those scarves things and hula hoops and all kinds of fun things.
Awesome. And my kids are going to camp. Well, they're not going to camp this year. They were at camp last year and they loved it. My son's off on a 3-day sort of university camp. He's not at university, but he's off to explore what university looks like. And I've got a 3-night stay this week. So he's looking forward to that. Camp's an awesome time, especially this time of year is great.
Yes, for sure. I'm glad she has a couple friends doing it with her. That makes it even more fun.
That's awesome. And I do have one question. It's nothing to do with the 5 questions we're going to dive into very soon. And whether you're allowed to answer this or not, I completely respect that. The Jerry Springer Show, what's the ratio of factual stories versus scripted stories on there?
Well, they only wanted me to bring real ones. I'll just say that. And they're a lot easier to get, people to react to if it's really going on. So in my time, pre-internet, I was really trying to only bring those kinds of stories.
Awesome. So you've got 100% hit rate there.
I did bust out a few, but I'm like, oh my God, if you fooled me, you better fool them.
Right. So as I say, we don't know what the questions are. I'm going to bring up my random question generator now, and we'll see where things go. So let me just bring that up for us now. Ooh, okay. All right, Reena. The question is, question number 1, what secret conspiracy would you like to start?
That could almost be political.
Well, let's do a fun one. Is there a fun one that you'd like to start?
Maybe Jesus didn't come from Immaculate Conception.
Oh, that's an interesting one. So would that be Joseph would be the father then, or
maybe, I don't know. I recently was reading the Da Vinci Code, and now I'm in the middle of Inferno, and I was thinking about, is it true that he could have lineage, that maybe he was married and he has children? I think that could be interesting too.
That would be interesting, because you never really, obviously, I'm not super religious, but we were obviously taught, religion at school, we were taught the Bible, etc. And you never see that, because obviously Jesus was the single person. You never talked about, was he ever married, or, well, I guess he wasn't married, but if it was to go down that route, that could be interesting, like you say. And then if he does have lineage, what does that look like? What would that look like in modern day? Who would be around now from his lineage?
Yeah, and would they be believers? Would they want to hide the fact that they were related to him? Would they have to be hidden? Would they be social media influencers? Would they capitalize on it?
I wonder what the hashtag would be for that. Yeah, that would be, because like you said, that could go into all sorts of cool mystery thrillers as well. So do like facets or do factions. If they find out there's a lineage of Jesus, for example, and they're the complete opposite or anything like that, that could be like a cool sort of mystery or danger thriller where they're trying to find out who it is, and there's all sorts of stuff like that going on. That's actually an interesting thought to take that to a conclusion somewhere.
I think I would leverage if Jesus was my daddy.
Or
my granddaddy.
Yeah, if that came out and you've been like, obviously you go to your dad for his take on every episode, and then that comes out, he's got like this big secret that he shares afterwards one time. That'd be a whole new direction for your show as well.
What would Jesus really say? Yeah.
That would be awesome. And I wonder, so if they were to make a movie of this, because I do love this idea, who you think would be a good character or a good actor, actor or actress to play the person of lineage?
Who was the guy that was Aquaman?
Oh, yeah, that's Jason Momoa.
Yeah, Jason Momoa. I choose him. He's kind of got that look.
Yeah, definitely. And you don't mess with him either. He looks like someone that you really don't mess with in real life. Although seemingly he's a very big, sort of cuddly bear. He's not, aggressive at all. He's complete opposite from the characters he plays on the movies that he does. That's an interesting first question and an interesting answer to kick off this episode. So where do we go from here? I'm not sure if we go anywhere from here. That's an awesome first question to ask. So let's get rid of that one. And let's do the second question. Are we ready for the second question?
I'm ready. This is crazy.
All right. I'm not sure how we go from here, but let's have a look. Speaking of crazy, question 2, what is the craziest thing you've ever done?
Well, this kind of goes along with that subject matter. When I was, I think, 19, I hitchhiked from Israel to Egypt.
Oh, wow.
And walked across that border. I don't think I would do that today, but that was crazy. And I did it with a friend, and I would like jump out and try to get the car, and then he would hide in the bush. And then sometimes when they saw that I had a guy with me, they would pull off, but sometimes they'd give us a ride.
And what's that distance then? Is that a big chunky distance?
Oh, it was a half a day, I think. It took us to do that. But it was crazy.
What made you do that then?
We wanted to see, the untouched beaches of Egypt. Yeah, we went to the Sinai. We went to Nuweiba. We slept on the beach. That is so crazy now. Like, I think about that now and I'm like, I would not want my own children doing that.
Right. Well, I was going to ask, because obviously your daughter's at camp at the moment. That's not something you'd want your daughter to do as an alternative to her camp, right?
I feel like it was a lot safer, but it probably wasn't even. I think I was just a bit naive, and it was fun though. I mean, we slept on a tent in the beach, and I got to see the mountains and these untouched beaches and eat these crazy different foods that I'd never had before, and it was pretty peaceful.
And were your friend that you went with same age?
Yeah. We played beach volleyball all day, and yeah.
How were your parents on that?
I don't think they were aware I was doing that.
Until you came home.
Yeah, glad I made it back safe. That was crazy. I didn't make it all the way to the pyramids, just kind of straight over the border.
But it's like you say, I mean, that's something that, that not a lot of people would do now, primarily because of the safety aspect and how things maybe changed since we were, 19, and I'm a bit older than you, so even further back when I was 19. Yeah, I can't imagine letting my kids do that, or not letting. I want my kids to have freedom, as I'm sure you do, to explore and and do things of their own accord and live a full sort of happy, fun life. But I think there's sometimes as well you think, you know what, that's not the most sensible thing you could do, is do a big hitchhike like that and then sleep on the beach. But I don't know, would it be different if it, now? I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was quite an adventure. And I literally walked across the border with my U.S. passport, and that was it.
Now, would that be the same today? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Yeah. Because I'm just wondering if, like, obviously with different regions and different, what's going on in different parts of the world, etc., if that would be different. And if you had a passport from one country that was fine previously, it might not be so much, today, for example.
Yeah, that was wild. And I'm like, where's the customs? There's no customs. Like, they just put a stamp in there.
What's like in Europe now? So the UK, they had a vote to leave Europe. I think it was maybe 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. And it was either just this year or maybe last year where now the UK passport can't get you into Europe as easily as it used to because the UK is no longer part of Europe. And because I'm originally from the UK, I still have a UK passport versus a Canadian passport where I am now. And I was talking to my wife about that the other day there. If we were to go to Europe, one of her bucket list things is to go to Greece. And if we were to go to Europe, I think I would struggle more than she would to actually get into Greece because I've got a UK passport. Whereas before I could have just walked in basically.
Oh, wow. How come it would be hard to get into Greece? Do they have stricter rules?
No, it's just purely because the passport situation now, because Britain is no longer part of the EU, the European Union, you can't travel as freely between European countries. Now, countries that are in the EU can still travel, nice and freely on passports, etc. But I feel I've got to now get a travel visa for certain countries that I didn't have to before. So it's just like a weird thing. I think it would just be easier for me to get a Canadian passport, get that done, So yeah, I can imagine it just seems wild, a 19-year-old doing that hike and then just walking through, over the border with no real stops or checks or anything.
Just a backpack.
Love it. So that's the craziest thing you've ever done. That is pretty crazy. We're going to give that a 5-pointer right on that answer. I'm not even sure there is points in this game, but I'm going to start adding points. What the heck? Alrighty, where do we go from here? Let's have a look at question 3. I feel this might be the same similar as your previous one. I'm not sure. Let's ask anyway, and we can always buffer it to another one if that's the case. But question 3, what is the strangest thing that has ever happened to you?
I don't know. The first thing that comes to mind was I moved next to someone who thought that they didn't have to put their dog on a leash and that they could freely poop in my yard every day for 11 months. That felt strange. I was like, I don't know where that's ever been okay, but yeah, it feels personal. Can you please stop?
Now, and was this in the suburbs or was this in a city? Because I know sometimes as you get more out to, say, rural areas.
It's slightly in the city, but yeah, thank goodness she moved after the 1-year lease and I am feeling freedom from that. But yeah, it was very strange. I've never seen someone who feels like they just are above the law and that they can poop on somebody every day. That was wild.
And did you speak to her about this? Did you raise it with her? Or do you think, she's obviously...
That did not help the situation whatsoever.
Oh, man. And she never came in clean. She just let her dog out and just do the business.
Yeah, and then her kids were doing it, and yeah.
Wait, whoa, back up. Her kids were coming out and pooping.
No,
outside.
not them. They would let the dog out too. It was like mother like kids, But like if the mom lets the dog out with no leash and lets him poop and picks it up whenever she feels like it, then they feel like they can do that too. It's just crazy. And I didn't even have a camera. Like when we first moved in, I was like, guess it's time for a camera. Guess it's time for mace. Guess it's time for animal control. Like I'd never in my life had to do those things,
I would have thought there'd be bylaws for that though. No, there wasn't any bylaws.
There are, but she feels like, that it's for some reason, even though according to the land record, it was our yard, she felt like it was hers too.
Oh my grief. And then she moved out. So are you still in that house now? Is that the same house you're in now? Or
Yes.
Better neighbours now?
Well, now it's vacant. And let me tell you, every day I come home, I am so grateful. I'm like, oh, another beautiful day with no poop in the yard. It was so crazy. I was starting to name each time she did it. I was like, after school poop, good morning poop, after Christmas poop, spring break poop. Like,
I feel like this could be a topic for Jerry Springer, this neighbour, the poop neighbour from hell.
Crappy neighbor be gone.
I wonder what she would have done had she lived in an apartment complex and she's on the 10th floor or something. Does she let it poop on the balcony in the apartment? Does she actually take it to the park? Or what would she do?
Only walked it in my yard. It was like a shared walk space, but not really, because according to the land record, it was our space. She had a little piece of land, on the other side of where she walked into her place. We're in townhomes. It was crazy. But
that's mad. Do you never get tempted to collect some up and leave it?
Oh, trust me. I had all kinds of creative ideas of things I wanted to do with it. I thought about, creating little eggs or poops in her wreath, when she hung that up, or I did one time, because another thing that she would do, which was very odd or strange, was there was like a drain pipe out the side of her house, and she would hang the poop bag there for a week at a time. I'm like, dude, one poop, one dispose of poop. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know why you're trying to be like economic on the plastic bags, but like, you use one per every time it goes and you dispose of it. Like, there's rules around that too.
Man.
But yeah, she'd hang it off the drain pipe for like a week where like flies would start to gather. And I'm like, it was so unsanitary.
And did you have kids then? You mentioned it was a wild.
I have 4 kids. And so like my kids' friends would come over. They're like, that is so gross. Like,
I can't even imagine. It's like, I mean, where we live, it's a small village. It's very rural, but people respect the poop law, So I can't, that's just flummoxed me completely. That's just bizarre.
It was wild. Like, in the beginning, I was like, oh, hey, did you notice? Because she would also dog sit. So she left like pit bull mounds in my yard. I was like, that's kind of a lot. Are you going to pick that up? Like, that's how it started. And then it was like, I have a 5-year-old. Can you please keep your dog on a leash? And then I was like, hey, like, this is a yard that we walk through every day. Can this not be your toilet? Like, yeah.
That's bizarre. I'm glad, obviously, that the neighbour is no longer there, but I pity the poor person she has now moved in next to, because clearly that's like a continuous issue. That's not something that she was just doing with you, unless maybe it was. Maybe she just like didn't like you, but a weird way to do it though.
It was crazy because when she moved in, her boyfriend told me, I'm so glad to get rid of our last neighbors. And that did not even ring a red flag for me. But if somebody tells you that, beware. Like, it's coming.
Get out of town. Get out of town. Yeah, I'm going to be extremely grateful that I was not your neighbour 2 doors down on the opposite side of her, because I feel that might have been an issue too if she's like wandering about and just letting dogs all over. I don't know. People, what can you do with them? Hey there, Danny here. I hope you're enjoying this episode of 5 Random Questions. If you're loving the fun as much as I am, I've got something extra special for you. The Question Master membership. As a premium member, you'll get ad-free early access to every episode. But that's not all. You'll also be able to submit your own random question to be asked in an upcoming episode and spark the next great conversation. Plus, there are even more exclusive perks waiting for you as a Question Master. So, if you want to take your 5 random questions experience to the next level, head over to 5randomquestions.com/support to sign up and become a Question Master. Thanks for supporting the show. And now, back to the questions. Alrighty, we're 3/5. What's that? 60%. 6%. I'm trying to get my math correctly done there. 60% through here, so we're doing well. We've had some interesting topics and interesting answers so far. So I'm curious where we're going to go with the last 2 questions. So let's have a look at question number 4. Okay, then I feel everybody's done this, but let's find out. So Reena, question 4. Have you ever sent a message to the wrong person? And as a follow-up to that, if you have, where did that end up?
Oh my God. The funniest story, honestly, was my husband sending the wrong message. He was trying to message me and he messaged a work colleague. And it was kind of inappropriate, but like there was like a lost in translation. So it worked out okay.
Okay, I feel you have to expand.
I think he was like working for an international company at the time. I forgot what he even said, but I always remember that one because it was like, what does that mean? You know what I mean? Like he didn't even understand. And he was like, oh, that message wasn't for you. It was almost like I think we were like, like saying like a code word between us or something. And it went to like one of his vendors in Korea or something. And he was kind of like, yeah.
And I was going to say, because you mentioned it got lost in translation. So I'm guessing the person that was the recipient was English not the first language then. And that's where the sort of confusion arose, at least as a message. Obviously, the confusion was on your husband's side, sending it to the wrong number to start with.
Yeah, he sent it to a work colleague who was in Korea. But yeah, I think it was maybe just like a made up word or a funny thing that we said between each other, And he wasn't sure if it was like a food or something he was supposed to do or... Those are fun. They can make you laugh.
Yeah, I don't think so. It wasn't a safe word or anything. So
No, it wasn't a safe word. God, now I'm like, what was it? I can't remember the word even. But yeah, that's the first one that comes to mind is my husband sent a message to one of his vendors and he, I think, was just like confused by it, which was better than like him probably understanding the message.
You're right. Yeah, exactly. And then you get an email from HR and you're thinking, why am I getting an email from HR?
Oh, man. Yeah, I don't think I've ever done that. Oh, one time I was helping my dad sell off like all of the equipment. He was closing up his manufacturing place and he had kind of a list of like all of his old vendors. And one of the people that we sent it to, I don't know what she did, but she hit like reply all to her entire email list of everything that we were selling. I mean, it was good for us, but yeah, like her boss was like, "What did you just do?"
I've never like, so my kids' school, we get a bunch of emails from the kids' school, and generally you'll reply to the teacher, but then she'll reply all to everyone. So whatever question you've just asked, every parent now gets to know, and you're thinking, please don't do that again. It makes you, wary of sending any emails to the teacher.
Yeah, I feel like that happens a lot too with like these private, WhatsApp groups between parents and all of the classes now. I'm like, sometimes I feel like those get even too personal. I'm like, maybe you should take that up with one parent versus like send that to the whole class. I kind of even stay out of the rooms. I'm like, I just want to know, like, when are the basketball games? Like, when is parent-teacher night? Like, what are the assignments? I don't need to know about every bullying or every, uniform problem or...
Exactly. And that's it. You join the parent groups because you want to keep up to date with your kid's school and anything you need relevant to your kid. But often there's a lot of drama gets brought into these groups too. And you think, no, I'm out.
Totally. It's so crazy. Like, I'll drop off a kid and the moms will be like, did you read the WhatsApp chat? I'm like, I stay out. I'm like, there's so many messages in those chats. Like, I just have to pay attention to like the emails that are sent from the school.
Although it does give you a good insight as to which parent is maybe not weird, that's the wrong word to use, but which parent is maybe has very different views from yourself. And maybe keep an eye on what your kid's now saying. Is that impacting, your kid's viewpoint or their friend's viewpoint, because your kids are saying something maybe they shouldn't, to do it both ways. So I'm always wary of like these kind of groups, like you say, because people that you like and have fun with, sometimes you can find out, oh, they're not quite the person I thought they were. Yikes.
Oh, yeah. You can tell a lot about people by how they communicate online or even in WhatsApp groups.
Yeah, well, especially WhatsApp groups. Is it WhatsApp or Snapchat where it's meant to delete after 24 hours or something? Is that Snapchat?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can never remember. I don't really use the two of them. I use WhatsApp, I think, for podcasting events and conferences that I go to with my job. But apart from that, I never use it. So my daughter sent me a Snapchat link and I told her, I don't use this. I've not got the app. What's this? And she wouldn't tell me what it was. I thought, okay, now we have an issue. But anyway, it was all good.
Yeah, they all love snapping each other all day long. It's hard to keep up with all of the ways in which they communicate. TikTok, too.
Yep, no, exactly. I'm sure, has your daughter got her phone with her for I'm going to guess she's got her phone with her for camping.
She does, but I have not allowed her to get data yet.
Ah, okay.
I feel like everywhere I'm sending her, there's Wi-Fi, and she's on it enough as it is, and I want to be still monitoring that more.
Yeah, no, I get that. How old's your daughter? Is she early
She's
teens?
13.
13, yeah. So yeah, it's a good time to start to learn about social media and WhatsApp and all that stuff, but it's also a good time, as you mentioned, for the parents just to introduce them slowly. And it helps that, she's got a mom like you that's well-versed in social media, knows all the pitfalls. And obviously with your background, you'll see some horror stories come through as well. So she's got a good role model there. Maybe not so much from the hiking part across Israel border or not, but apart from that.
Yeah, I think I'll wait to tell her about that.
Wait till she's 19. And then you can say, okay, you know what? At your age, I was doing this. Get off the sofa. Get outside. Alrighty, so we've arrived at the final question, and I'm not sure what this is going to be. It's been an interesting ride so far, so let's bring up question number 5. Alrighty, I'm sensing a theme in this week's questions, actually. I'm not sure how random these questions are, because there's a definite theme coming in here. Okay, Reena, question 5. After you survive the apocalypse, what will your job be?
Oh my gosh, maybe like, I don't know, some sort of, hopefully I'll be like a sharpshooter, I guess. I'll be training people on weapons.
So you'll be like is it Rick that's the weapons person? I've never really watched that. I'm going to come clean here. I've never watched The Walking Dead, not one single episode, so I'm not sure who the sharpshooter is in that episode, on that show.
Yeah, I haven't watched it. My husband and sons were obsessed. But I do feel like you have to be skilled with weapons in the apocalypse after watching that. But they use more of spears.
And I guess it depends on what kind of apocalypse. Are we talking zombie apocalypse?
Exactly.
Are we talking like nuclear apocalypse? And then are there any survivors? So I guess, for a bit of context, you'd want to know what kind of apocalypse. And if it was zombies, how many zombies are now there? I do watch the Last of Us. I watched that on Prime. I guess it's HBO in the US, but it's on Prime, I think, over here. Or Crave, sorry, in Canada. And that was really good. It wasn't sort of so much zombies as opposed to like this infection that turned people's brains to mush or controlled humans that way. So I guess they were like zombies then. What am I talking about? But it was interesting to see how different people survived and used had to completely change their outlook on life to survive, following that apocalypse, I guess.
Yeah, I always think about, would I keep my humanity in those kinds of, really stressful times? People who are able to do that, like I just read Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, and I thought it was really interesting how he kind of like thought of his wife, and he thought of the love that he had, and he thought of like the apartment that he lived in and the everyday tasks that he was looking forward to doing. Like I would hope that is what would motivate me, would be thinking about the good times versus, I got to get rid of all of the people around me, but like, hey, we can all survive together. Like I would hope that I would keep some sense of humanity in the crazy.
And there's like, I don't know if you've watched The Last of Us show at all, Reena? You didn't watch it?
No.
So obviously it's based on a video game, and it followed it really well, actually. But there's a couple of characters in it called Bill and Frank. And their episode, I think it was episode 3 of the TV show, it focused on them and how they met and survived, after the apocalypse. And it was very much about keeping their human side. So they grew vegetables and fruit. They made a habit of going for a walk and doing the normal stuff and going to shops, even though the shops were closed and it was just basically their own little shops, etc. And making Sunday roasts and all that cool stuff. And that was a nice break because prior to that, the 2 episodes were very, in your face. This is horrible. This is like, gory, etc. And then you had this very, very human interlude of these 2 characters. And I feel that, like you say, that's something that would be easy to lose, is the humanity, because you're trying to survive. You're obviously protecting your family if they've survived too. Hopefully they have. And you're protecting your loved ones. And I feel it would be very easy to slip into someone you're completely not because you're trying to survive.
Yeah. Should I go into the question? I feel like it kind of ties into this, but I would love to know what you do to be grounded or centered or remain calm. What are ways that you like to relax?
That's a good one. So, I just for our listeners, every week, obviously, each guest gets to ask me a random question because it's only fair. I'm putting them through the ringer and putting them on the spot with 5 questions that they have no planning or research for. So it's only fair. So I like that one. I think for me, a lot of it comes down to my family. I've got 2 kids, and obviously my wife. We're still together. I said that a really bad way. Sorry, Jacqueline, if you're listening. You probably won't be, so I'm safe. But yeah, I've got my family, so my wife and my 2 kids. My son's 14, my daughter's 12. And we moved, I mentioned earlier, we moved to this little village that's really rural. There's only maybe 800 families here. It's very surrounded by nature. There's a lake, big massive lake, about a 15-minute walk away from the house. Lots of snow in the winter. So I'm surrounded by calming stuff. So if I have a bad day, because I do suffer from mental illness issues, as does my wife. So we kind of bounce off each other, recognize when that's happening and help each other through that. So it's good that we're in this nature area where I can go outside. I can just go breathe in the air, look at the trees, listen to the birds, or go out in the lake in a kayak or something. So that's good. But I think seeing my kids, they're both athletes, are very competitive athletes. So my son plays competitive soccer for his team and my daughter does competitive cheerleading. So they do a lot of competitions, and seeing the love that they have for that. Whereas when I was their age, we didn't have that. We were in the UK, growing up in the 70s. That's not something you would encourage. So I would say probably my family keeps me really grounded, and just having good people around me, getting to, chat with good folks like yourself, and ignoring all the drama on social media, because you can get sucked into that so easily. So that's why I don't have a lot of social media apps. I use Twitter for my conversations and Facebook just for friends and family.
I love that. That's wonderful. It makes me want to go on a kayak.
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, we used to have a little cottage up here, and that's how we fell in love with this area. And then when we decided to move here, we sold the cottage. But when we had it, there was also a lake nearby, and that's when I first got into sort of kayaking. It's really relaxing, right? You just go out there, disappear, and do nothing, not care about anything in the world.
Yes, it is so calming. That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you for the question. That was a really good one. I like that. I like that a lot. So, Reena, we're going to be wrapping up soon. I really enjoyed hearing your 5 answers. I'm curious, actually, if the first question about the lineage, the answer of lineage, if that will get any pushback online. We'll see, I guess, when it comes out. We'll see. I don't think so. I think we were respectful, with the whole premise. And I love the fact that you went there and had that whole direction there. So it'll be interesting to see. We may have to come to you for, protection or something. Get your dad to protect us both when this episode drops. For anyone that wants to listen, obviously, to your podcast and hear your dad, obviously, because he shares some amazing advice and thoughts on the episodes, where's the best place to listen to your show and connect with you directly?
Thank you so much. BetterCallDaddy.com, and I'm on most social media as Reena Friedman Watts. So that's Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram.
And I'll be sure to link to all of these in the show notes. So wherever you're listening, be sure to check them out. I know not everyone does, but do check them out, because I will be linking out to every guest. And I recommend you check them out, each time. So thanks for that. So again, Reena, thank you for joining me today and opening yourself up to 5 random questions.
What a great concept for a show. I really enjoyed it.
So thanks to you for listening to 5 random questions. If you enjoyed this week's episode, be sure to follow for free on the app you're currently listening on, or online at 5randomquestions.com. And if you feel like leaving a review, well, that would make me happier than that time I met Darth Vader at my local supermarket. Because yes, that's what Darth Vader does on his time off. Signs autographs at local supermarkets to 12-year-old kids. So it was obviously the real deal. But seriously, if you wanted to leave a review, that would be awesome. I'd be super grateful. Until the next time, keep asking these questions.